Xin Chao, de la Don Van Ben Thursday Neum, the sun goes down. Your chest tightens. You can't see past your own hand, and every sound suddenly feels closer than it did 5 minutes ago. You know it's irrational. There's nothing out there. But your body doesn't believe you. For roughly 300,000 years, that feeling wasn't irrational at all. It was the single most useful instinct you had. Your eyes are built for daylight. Cone cells, the ones that give you sharp color vision, need bright light to work. Once the sun disappears, you're left relying almost entirely on rod cells, which see in blurry grayscale and can barely judge distance. In other words, the moment night falls, your best sense on the planet becomes almost useless. Now compare that to the animals that hunted your ancestors. Lions. Leopards. Hyenas. Their eyes contain a reflective layer called the tapetum lucidum, a built-in mirror behind the retina that bounces light back through the eye a second time. It's why a cat's eyes seem to glow in headlights. It roughly doubles their night vision. While you were half blind in the dark, the things trying to eat you were seeing you perfectly. So let's reconstruct a night, say, on the African savanna, sometime in the deep past. You're not in a house. You're not behind a locked door. You're on open ground, with nothing but firelight and the people around you standing between you and whatever is moving in the grass. Every snapped twig gets your full attention. Every distant call from a hyena runs a quick, involuntary calculation through your brain. How far away is that? Is it getting closer? This wasn't paranoia. Paleoanthropologists studying predation on early hominins have found tooth marks on ancient hominin bones matching large cats and hyenas, direct physical evidence that being hunted, at night especially, was a real and recurring part of early human life. Here's where it gets interesting, because your ancestors didn't just endure this fear. They organized their entire social lives around defeating it. Anthropologist Polly Wiessner spent years studying the Jew/Hoansi, a hunter-gatherer community in the Kalahari Desert, and she noticed something specific about their nights. During the day, conversation around the Jew/Hoansi camp was mostly practical. Complaints, logistics, minor disputes. But once the sun went down and people gathered around the fire, the entire tone shifted. Nighttime talk turned into storytelling. Myths. Histories. Jokes. Social bonding that almost never happened during daylight hours. Fire didn't just keep predators away. It became the reason humans started telling each other stories in the first place. Anthropologist Richard Wrangham has argued that the controlled use of fire may be one of the most important turning points in human evolution, not just because it let early humans cook food and unlock more calories from it, but because it created something new, a safe, lit space specifically for after dark. A place where a group could sit still, face each other, and talk, instead of scattering to hide. Think about what that actually requires. Trust. If you're going to sit in one spot, visible and half-blind, 4 hours after sunset, you need to know the people next to you have your back. Fear of the dark didn't just make humans cautious. It made them cooperative. And that cooperation left fingerprints deep in human psychology, ones you're still carrying around today. Researchers studying modern nyctophobia, the fear of the dark, have found it's remarkably consistent across cultures and shows up early in childhood, often without any specific traumatic trigger. Kids in cities with electric streetlights on every corner still get scared of the dark, the same way kids in rural, unlit villages do. That consistency is a strong sign this isn't something you learn from a scary movie. It's something closer to a default setting, inherited from tens of thousands of generations of ancestors for whom darkness genuinely meant danger. Your racing heart at 2 a.m., alone in a dark room, convinced something is standing in the corner. That's not a personal flaw. That's a very old alarm system, still fully wired, going off in an environment where it no longer has a real predator to detect. Now here's the twist that changes how you should think about all of this. You'd expect a species this afraid of the dark to simply avoid it whenever possible. Sleep the moment the sun sets, minimize exposure, hide until morning. But archaeological evidence tells a different story. Hearths and campfire remains found at sites believed to be well over 100,000 years old suggest that early humans were doing the opposite. They were staying up, deliberately extending their waking hours into the most dangerous part of the day, using fire to buy themselves time. Why would a species terrified of darkness choose to stay awake in it, night after night, instead of just going to sleep? Because the payoff was worth the risk. That extra firelit time wasn't wasted. It was when knowledge got passed down. Where to find water in a drought. Which plants were poison. What that specific hyena call meant. Stories about ancestors, about mistakes, about survival. Losing an hour of safety was worth it if it meant the next generation didn't repeat a fatal mistake. Fear of the dark didn't shrink human behavior. It reshaped it into something more social, more communicative, and ultimately, more intelligent. So the next time the sun goes down and that old, familiar tightness creeps into your chest, you're not being irrational, and you're not broken. You're running an inheritance. A survival system built by ancestors who lived and died by how seriously they took the dark, refined over 250,000 years, still switched on inside you, whether or not there's anything actually out there. The sun goes down. Your chest tightens. And for the very first time, maybe you understand exactly why.